Imagine walking into a house and finding dinner still on the table, still warm. Next to it, an unfinished basket sits abandoned, and in the corner there is a potter as wheel with a half-shaped pot, the clay still wet. The owners are gone, not just for an hour, not for a year. They never came back. And that is not just one house, it is every house in this town. This isn't a set from a zombie movie. It is a real place archaeologists dug up 14 centuries later, and what they found told the story of a single day that wiped an entire town off the map. The place is called Joya de Serran in El Salvador. People called it the Pompeii of the Americas, but honestly, it is stranger than Pompeii because almost nobody died there. Around the year 600 AD, a nearby volcano called Loma Caldera woke up. Not slowly, not with weeks of warning signs. It happened fast, and people felt it only hours before the eruption hit. And here is the part that gives you chills. The evidence shows the villagers got out, all of them calmly, in an orderly way. No signs of panic, no bodies left behind, none of the chaos you'd expect from people fleeing in terror. They just stood up and walked away. Meanwhile, the food stayed on the stove, the tools stayed mid-use, the beds stayed made. So how does an entire town vanish in one evening without turning into a mass grave? Volcanologists who studied the layers of ash found an answer that is honestly unsettling. A few hours before the main eruption, there were small tremors, as if the ground itself knocked on their doors and gave them a warning. The Maya people living there had no writing system that explained volcanoes, no seismographs. But they had something modern people often lack, a collective memory of disaster, passed down through generations. Someone in that town had probably seen these warning signs before and knew exactly what that rumbling underfoot meant. But if Joya de Serran is a story about people reading the danger and getting out in time, other cities disappeared under conditions that are honestly far creepier. No volcano, no earthquake, no visible cause at all. Take Cahokia. It is not buried in some jungle, it is in what is now the state of Illinois, in the U.S. 1,000 years ago, this was the largest city in North America north of Mexico, bigger than London was at the time. Tens of thousands of people, massive earthen pyramids, a whole network of streets and plazas. Then, sometime between 1350 and 1400, the city started emptying out fast. Not overnight like Serran, but by historical standards. It happened almost instantly, within a few decades, and in some soil layers, it looks more like a season or two. People didn't just leave, they took almost everything they could carry, including ritual objects that people usually abandon in a rush. This doesn't look like fleeing a disaster, it looks like a deliberate, planned exit. What they were fleeing from is still debated. Some researchers point to drought, others to deforestation and soil exhaustion, others to internal conflict or a revolt against an elite class that practiced large-scale human sacrifice. But none of these theories really explain the strangest part, why everyone seems to have left at once, as if they'd all gotten the same signal on the same night. A similar silence hangs over the classic Maya cities in what is now Guatemala and Honduras. Tikal, Cop, and Palenque, giant stone capitals with temples as tall as 20-story buildings, emptied out one after another over about a century and a half, between 800 and 950 AD. And it wasn't just ordinary people leaving. New temples stopped being built, dates stopped being carved into stone monuments, as if the entire ruling class suddenly decided, all at once, that recording history no longer mattered. The last carved date at the site of Tonina is from the year 909. After that, silence for centuries. Here is what ties all these stories together. From a small village in El Salvador to the massive Maya cities, the moment when ordinary human life, an unfinished dinner, a half-made pot, an unfinished temple, suddenly freezes in place forever. Not necessarily because it was the literal end of the world, but because at some point, the people living their normal, everyday routine felt one thing clearly: we can't stay here anymore. And that moment, whether it was a volcano rumbling underfoot or slowly mounting desperation from famine and war, erases the line between the history of a civilization and the story of one family that set the table in the morning and was long gone by nightfall. Maybe that is exactly why these ghost cities are more haunting than any palace full of gold. They don't tell you stories of victory or greatness. They preserve one last ordinary day, the kind of day that, for any of us, could have just been a regular Tuesday.